Hi everyone, my name is Karian Rose. Today I'll be looking at a type of poem called concrete poem. Alright, so what picture or what image this diagram on this board gives you? What it looks like? Butterfly. Very good, yes, a butterfly. So let's pretend to be butterflies. Alright, so we're going to flap our wings and we're going to show the actions, right? Alright, so let me read it one time first and then we're going to do the action. Fluttering high, dancing in the sky, soft wings spread wide, gentle, graceful glide. Good, so let's do the action now. Fluttering high, dancing in the sky, soft wings spread wide, gentle, graceful glide. So this here is an example of a concrete poem. Why is it called concrete poem? Because the words of the poem takes the shape of this butterfly, and it also tells you or tells us about a butterfly. So that's concrete poem. It takes the shape of an object or an item while it tells you about that item. There are 5 elements of a poem that came out in this type of poem. First, the shape. Now, the poem takes the shape of a butterfly, which makes it a concrete poem. Its visual form reflects the subject of the poem. Imagery. The words fluttering high and dancing in the sky create clear mental pictures of how a butterfly moves. Rhyme. The poem uses a simple AA-BB rhyme scheme. Examples: high sky, wide glide. Alliteration. The repetition of initial consonant sounds make the poem more musical. For example, soft wings spread, gentle, graceful glide. And the final element, rhythm. The poem has a flowing, easy to read rhythm that mimics the light, gentle movement of a butterfly. We can also use concrete poems to teach other subjects, like for example science, where we teach the life cycle of the butterfly. We can use it to teach art, where the children will draw the butterfly. Language arts, in terms of composition writing, where the children can write descriptive writings on the butterfly. Math, where we can teach them line of symmetry. The butterflies, they're naturally symmetrical, making it a perfect tie-in for a lesson in symmetry. Also for social studies, we can talk about the importance of butterflies, etc. This is how I will teach my pupils concrete poems, as well as integrating concrete poems across other curriculum subjects. Thank you.
Good morning, my name is Miss Denise and I'll be telling you a poem, and it's entitled It's Matrimony Time by Debbie James. Gigantic floats so very tall, marching bands big and small, costumes glittering in the sun. It's matrimony time, a time for fun. Music blasting through the air, neon colors everywhere. Joyous laughter fills the street, dancing to the rhythmic beats. The spirit of match, contagious and sweet. Thousands gather along the streets, eating, drinking all day long. From early sunrise until sundown, we work so hard all year long. It's time to relax and have some fun. To Guyana, our lives we dedicate. It's matrimony time. Let's celebrate. Now, I have just given to you the quatrain poetry. Now, in the quatrain poetry, it is a poem or stanza written in 4 lines to make one verse of a poem. It's the most common forms of stanza used in poetry. Now, and it usually rhymes. It can be written in a variety of rhyming patterns and can also be your own poem or a section of that poem written from a larger poem. Okay, now to identify some elements in my story, it's Mashamani time. Now for the rhyme. Now we have the first stanza. We can have the first line which says, gigantic float, so very tall. Now tall, and then we have marching bands, both big and small. Now tall and small rhymes, and we go down, costumes glittering in the sun. It's Mashimani time, a time for fun. So we have a sun, fun, tall, small. Now that is our rhyme. Now for our mood is a happy one. It's excitement, right? Now we do not have any figurative language used in this poem. Now for our form, which includes the beats, now we have about 7 or 8 beats per line, like where we have music blasting through the air, and we have gigantic float, so very tall, right? Those are some of our beats per line. Now for our imagery. Now imagery is where we're describing what our poem is all about, and in this poem we're describing the Mashmani celebration, what it is all about, right? Like gigantic float, so very tall. So anyone that has never experienced the mash, after reading this poem, they will have an imagination of what goes on during the Mashimani time. Now our tone, it's a cheerful one. Now we have our second stanza, our second 4 lines, where we have music blasting through the air, neon colors everywhere, joyous laughters fill the streets, dancing to the rhythmic beats. Now that is our stanza. So that covers some of the elements that has been used in the quatrain poetry.
Hi everyone. So, today we are going to be looking at a poem. So, let's get started. Now, the poem I am going to be looking at today is called a haiku poem. What is a haiku poem? You may be wondering. Now, let us take a look at what a haiku poem is. So, a haiku poem is a traditional Japanese form of poetry consisting of 3 lines with 17 syllables, following a 5-7-5 syllable pattern. Yes, a pattern. Now let's take a look of an example of a haiku poem. Here we have. Now on my left, can you see that picture? Yes. What is that picture showing? Yes, that is an ice cream cone. Good. Now, on my right, I have an example of what the haiku poem is. So let us take a look at this poem. All right. So I'm going to read it. Sun shining on me. Relax during recess and play. Enjoy cool ice cream. Now, The haiku poem has 3 lines. And at the end of each, sorry, not the end, in each sentence, we have the syllable. So let us look at the first sentence. We are supposed to have 5 syllables. 5 syllables. So let's see. And we can also clap to the syllables, right? Sun shining on me. So we have 5 syllables, correct? In our next sentence, we are supposed to have 7. So let's go. Relax during recess and play. 7. In our final sentence, we are supposed to have 5 again. So let's go. Enjoy cool ice cream. Good. So there we have 5 syllables. So remember, 5 in the first line, 7 in the second line, and 5 again in our third line. Now, from this poem, we can have elements, what we call the elements of the poem. So let us look at some of the elements of the poem. So the mood of that poem, we can feel it. It's happy, relaxed, peaceful, right? It brings a sense of childhood joy and carefree moments. Definitely, if you are a child and you're thinking about ice cream cone and the weather is hot, you know you're gonna feel happy, relaxed, peaceful, and so on. The tone, I'll say it's light and cheerful. Let's move to the next element of the poem. We have the sound. So I have the poem has a gentle, calming sound due to the use of simple words, soft words, and we have the repetition of the S sound. For example, in sun, shining, recess, and ice cream creates a soothing effect, reinforcing the relaxing atmosphere. Rhyme. This poem does not follow a strict rhyme scheme because haikus traditionally do not rely on rhyme. Remember, they have where it's a 3 sentences, but we go with the syllables with 5, 7, 5. The rhythm. The poem has a natural and smooth rhythm due to its short, evenly structured lines. The flow is easy to read and mimics a peaceful, unhurried moment. Imagery or the visual. So I have sun shining on me, paints a warm, bright image. The sensory touch or taste, cool ice cream, and this contrasts with the heat of the sun, making the moment more vivid. And because of the word recess, we know it can be the playground, at the school, and so on. Figurative language, personification, sun shining on me, gives the sun an active role as if it's interacting with the speaker. Contrast, the warmth of the sun and the coldness of the ice cream create a balance in the scene, right? So there we have some of the elements of the poem. Now, how can I teach this haiku poem to my grade 3 pupils? So first of all, I can include this with syllables. When we are doing syllabication, we can go that over there. Because the children, they need to understand how to syllabicate the words, and then as in the poem, you can clap to get the syllables. But in the first sentence where you have 5, you must be able to get 5 syllables, 5 claps only. And in the second sentence, you have 7 syllables, so you clap 7 times there. And it's not just clapping, you have them there. I would have them there then, making sure that it is the correct line that they're writing. And giving examples of the haiku poem, I know this, I have to do that so that the children will be able to see what the haiku poem looks like. So they're going to work in groups, come up with a topic, or what we call it, a theme. And most of the time, it is based on like nature, or it can be something relevant to their level of learning. They can list adjectives, so this is where it's going to be integrated in the other subjects now. Grammar, it what we call the parts of speech. So there they can list adjectives describing, for instance, we have the cone. They list words to match that. Then they write their sentences and read their sentences aloud and so on. So this is just a little way how I'm going to teach haiku poem to my grade 3 learners. Thank you so much for listening, and this has brought me to the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Miss Odetta Rogers. I'll be looking at a tercet poem. The name of my poem is The Busy Bee. The little bee buzzed by the flower, flying high then low with power, collecting nectar hour by hour. The sun shone bright up in the sky. The petals danced as the winds went by. The bee hummed loud a happy sign. Back to the hive the bee did zoom to share the nectar and the bloom, filling the hive with sweet perfume. That was our poem, The Busy Bee. Now, in this poem, we can pull out some elements. Some of the elements that we can pull out are rhyme. We have some words that rhyme, like flower and hour and power. We have stanza. We know that the tercet poem are structured with groups of 3 lines. We also have imagery, which would be the visuals of the bee buzzing and the flower blooming and the nectar and so on. We also have tone. We have happy, hardworking, and lively tone there. We also have a mood, cheerful and energetic mood. Now, some of the subjects and activities that we can get done for literacy or English, we can look at rhyming words. You can look at rhyme, and we can list the rhyming words there. We can allow the pupils to clap out as they hear. Every time they hear a rhyming word, as we recite the poem, we allow them to clap. Every time they hear a rhyming word, for vocabulary building, we can use words like nectar, hive, and bloom, and so on. So, poetry writing, we can have the pupils create their own nature theme poems. Science, we can look at the life cycle of a bee. We can look at pollination. We can look at the role of the bees. We can also look at plant and growth and so on, and the importance of flowers. Art, we can have drawing or painting the scene of the poem, like we can have them draw the bee and the flower, we can have them paint it and so on. And for math, we can have the counting, we can have sequence, we can have line symmetry, we can find the symmetry for the flower, the bee, the wings, and so on. We can have we can count the petals of the flower. We can count how many bees they have. We can count how many hives cells they are. We can also do simple and addition. We can do simple addition or subtraction using bees and flowers and so on. um, for social studies, we can look at environmental awareness and protecting nature. For music, we can clap the rhythm of the poem. We can clap and stamp and dance the rhythm of the. We can also act out the life of a bee. We can pretend to be the bee and act out the life of the bee and so on. So that was my poem. That were some of the activities that we can get done that I can teach from using this poem, and some of the subject areas that I can teach them in. So thank you very much.
Hi, boys and girls. Let me see by raise of hands all those who like poem. Do you enjoy listening to it, dramatizing it, or reciting it? I'm glad that you do, because today we are going to have some fun learning about a special type of poem. It's called a limerick. But before we do, I need you to look at these pictures and let's see if we can figure out the story. Good? Where do you think this frog is going? All right? What could have happened that led him here? What do you think happened to the frog? And why do you think the frog is staring at his reflection? Now let's see how we can put these pictures together to create a fun poem. One day, Mr. Frog was going on a vacation, but he ended at the police station. He hopped out of bed and stumbled on his head because he was busy looking at his reflection. How many lines does this poem have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 lines in one stanza. Which lines rhyme? We have line 1, line 2, line 5 rhyming, and then we have line 3 and 4 that rhymes. Is the poem funny? You know, how does it sound? Is it playful? No. Oh, great. Now let's break it down and see what makes a limerick special. According to Writer 2018, a limerick is a short 5-line poem that consists of a single stanza, an ABBA scheme. Now let's check our poem. Let's check and see if our poem follows this pattern. Now when we look at lines 1, 2, and 5, we see vacation, station, and reflection. These lines are rhyming there because they have the rhyming words there. And then in the third and the fourth line, we have bed rhyming with head. Limericks often tell a silly story, just like this one about Mr. Frog. And guess what? Limericks also use different elements of poetry to make them more interesting. Now let's look at some poetry elements in our limerick.
Yeah.
Good. Some of the elements are the tone and the mood. Does this poem sound funny? How do you feel when you hear the poem? Does it make you laugh? Then we have figurative language, hyperbole, as in exaggeration. He was busy looking at his reflection that he stumbled on his head. Personification. Mr. Frog acts like a person going on vacation and looking in the mirror. It has a rhyme scheme of AABBA, where we have vacation, station, and reflection, and we have bed and head. So the first, second, and the fifth line rhymes as the AAA, and the third and the fourth line the BB. Imagery. Now when we hear hopped out of bed and stumbled on his head, can you picture it? It paints a funny picture in our mind where we're a frog, stumbling out of bed. Is that right? Limericks can be used in story to tell a story. We can use it, we can teach science, where we can teach animals. We can also look at places, important places in our community. Thank you for listening, and I hope we had fun.
Hello boys and girls, are you excited for this afternoon poetry? I am too. Well, this afternoon we will learn something amazing about poetry. I have a poem on the board I want you to follow as I read. William, the immortal bard, creative, perceptive, dramatic, eloquent, lover of language, storytelling, and the stage, who believed in exploration of human nature, who wanted to entertain, provoke, taught, and leave a legacy, who used figurative language, complex plots, and memorable characters, who gave us classic play, beautiful sonnets, and enduring phrases, who said, though she is but little, she is fierce Shakespeare. Boys and girls, have you thought about bio-poem? Have you ever heard about bio-poem? Okay, that is okay. Anyone, do you know what is bio-poem? That is okay. Okay, let me tell you what is bio-poem. A bio-poem This tells about a famous person. Bio poem is written to describe a person, usually a fictional character or famous person. In this context, bio is short for bibliography. Format for bio poem. So let us go this poem line by line. So bio poem consists of 10 lines. So I have line 1, line 2, line 3, line 4, line 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So a bio poem class consists of 10 lines. So let us look what line 1 has. Line 1 has William, right? It has the first name. Line 2 is the title. The title of the poem is The Immortal Bard. Line 3, 4 words that describe the person. So 4 words in line 3 that describe Williams is creative, perceptive, dramatic, eloquent. Line 4, lover of 3 or more things or ideas. So he is lover of language, storytelling, and the stage, right? Line 5, who believe 1 or more ideas. Who believe in exploration of human nature. Line 6 is who wanted 3 things. So William Shakespeare wanted 3 things. Who wanted to entertain, provoke, thought, and leave a legacy. What is the 3 things? Entertain, provoke, and leave a legacy. That is line 6. Who wanted 3 things. Line 7, who used 3 things or method. He used figurative language, complex plot, and memorable characters. Line 8, who gave 3 things. Who gave us classic plays, beautiful sonnets, and enduring phrasing. So William Shakespeare gave us those 3 things. Line 9, who said a quote. So William Shakespeare said. So line 9 is who said a quote. So William Shakespeare said, though she is but little, she is fierce. Fierce. Line 10, last name, Shakespeare. So what is our poet name or poem name? We're talking about what William Shakespeare is what? He is a poet. Okay, boys and girls, do you know the author of this bio poem? Anyone knows? Okay, it is William Shakespeare, and William Shakespeare is a famous person, right? According to the bio poem. Why is a famous person? He is a famous person because he writes stories. He is an author because he writes books and composes poems. So now, boys and girls, we'll be looking at the elements found in this bio poem. So I have here elements of the bio poem. I have verse, stanza, figurative language, imagery, mood, theme, and tone. All of these is found in that bio poem. So today we will be looking at verse and imagery. I want you for homework to find out what is figurative language, mood, theme, tone, and stanza. Right? So I have verse. A verse refers to a single line in a poem. Each line in the bio poem is an individual verse. For example, we had, who believe in the exploration of human nature. This is a single verse expressing Shakespeare's belief. So a verse basically refers to a single line in a poem, each line. Imagery. Imagery is the use of descriptive language that appeals to the sense. Example, lover of language, storytelling, and the stage. This line creates a vivid image of Shakespeare as a playwright deeply connected to the art of storytelling and the theater. So, for homework, I want you to find out what is stanza, figurative language, mood, theme, and tone. I thank you for listening.